Welcome to 3E, solving equations with a quadratic formula. So we have the quadratic formula has to be in standard form. The standard form is right here. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now, it's not crucial, but I do like having my a positive. Also, a, b, and c are always numbers. They're never a variable, always a number. A is a constant, the coefficient in front of the x squared. B is always your constant, or your coefficient in front of the x term, and your c is your constant. It's just a number with no variable. All right, let's get right into the problems. So number one, we have it in standard form already, meaning it's equal to 0. All the like terms are together. Our A is 1. Our B, notice in the formula, it's a plus in between. So what I do is I just take this subtraction with it. So it's a B is -2 and a C is -63. My first step, so I do this every single time. I've been doing this since I was your age. I do the opposite from the formula. The B is -2 plus or minus b squared, so -2 squared, minus 4 from the formula, times a times c. All of that is going to be divided by 2 times a. Now, my steps here, you can have different steps, but I advise you to keep the exact same steps every time. So opposite of -2 is a +2. Inside the opposite value, or sorry, inside the square root, which is, we have -2 squared, which is +4. I then look at it as a -4 times 1 times -63. That's 252. So if you have to use a calculator, do that. And that's all divided by 2 times 1. So I look at the denominator, 2 times 1 is 2. My next step is I'm just concentrating on what's underneath the radical. So it's x equals 2 plus or minus the square root 256 divided by 2. Now, if you are like Mr. Johnson, I don't know how to, I don't want to simplify all this the way you're doing it. I just want to put it into Desmos, then put it into Desmos. But all you're going to put into Desmos is what's underneath the radical, and then you're going to get 256. Do not put the square root in there. Reason being is our next step is to take the square root of 256. That can be different numbers. It could be a negative, then we're talking about imaginaries, or it could be a non-perfect square. So we need to simplify that square root. Now this happens to be a perfect square. So let me look at Desmos. Oh my goodness. So square root of 256 is 16. So this is going to equal 16. So I'm going to replace what I circled, the square root, with 16. And because the square root is now eliminated, there's no more square root, we can actually go further because we do know what 2 plus 16, so plus from the equation, divided by 2 is. And we also know what 2 subtract 16. Those are real numbers, divided by 2. 2 plus 16 is 18, divided by 2. 2 minus 16 is -14, divided by 2, which is -7. So my two solutions are real. They're 9 and -7. All right, number 3. I have my A, B, and C. Now, the C I don't have yet because I need to make this into standard form, which means I need to subtract 1. Now, negative. Now, I don't like having the A be a negative. Right now it's -1. So the one thing you can do is multiply everything by -1. Because if you multiply the left side So I'm multiplying the left side all the terms and multiplying the right side. It doesn't change the actual equation. Just morphs it into a better feeling looking situation. So negative 1 times 1 is 1. Negative 1 times 2 is a negative 2. Negative 1 times a negative 1 is a positive 1. And negative 1 times 0 is still 0. So really I just changed the signs on all the terms. So now I like my a being positive, 1. A b, I don't really care what it is, just got to have a number. And c, again, I don't really care what it is, it just has to be a number. So let's substitute in negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Divided by 2 times 1 is 2. Oh, that's weird. Happened there. Now I'm going to keep simplifying underneath the square root. 4 minus 4 is 0. And when we simplify the square to 0, I don't really have to pull it off to the side. That's just 0. So we have 2 plus or minus 0 divided by 2. So when we split this up, because now the square root's gone, we have 2 plus 0 divided by 2. That's 2 divided by 2, which is 1. And we have 2 minus 0 divided by 2, which again is 2 divided by 2, which is 1. Well, what the heck? We have two of the same answers. Well, in this case, it's a special case, and we'll talk about it later on, but we actually only have one solution. It is repeated. We'll call it something a little different later, but it's just one solution of x equals 1. And this happens when what's underneath the square root is 0. All right, number 5, get this into standard form. To do that, I need to subtract 24 to make the equation equal 0. Some of you might be like, why don't I solve this using the square root method? Sure, you certainly can. There's only one x in the problem, but this assignment is to try to work with different types of problems so we can solve them using the quadratic formula. So my a is 9. My c, because this is my constant, and there's no variable there, is negative 25. Well, what's b then? Well, technically b is 0. You could rewrite this, and I know it's kind of weird, but 0x minus 25 equals 0. So then you can see your a, b, and c. If it's not there, the term's not there, b or c, it's 0. So now let's put this in. Opposite of 0. Actually, you don't need that there because there's no opposite of 0. 0 squared doesn't make sense. It's still 0 minus 4 times a times c. All of it divided by 2 times a. Opposite of 0 is 0. 0 plus minus, don't need the 0 there because adding or subtracting from 0 doesn't do anything. 0 squared is 0. 4 times 9 times 25, that is too big. So let's figure out what Desmos says. 4 times 9 times 25 is 900. And we have a negative and another negative, so that's a positive, so positive 900. All divided by 2 times 9 is 18. And the square root of 900, is that a perfect square? I think so. Let's check it out. Usually I type the number in first, and it is. So 900 is a perfect square, so that's going to be 30 over 18. And we can rewrite this as two equations. So we can see it's a positive 30 over 18, and it's a negative 30 over 18. And we can reduce both of them, both fractions, by 6. I think that's the biggest. And 30 over 5/3. And negative 5/3. So you can write them separately, or you could write them as plus minus 5/3. Just know that you have two solutions there. All right, number 7. I'm going to move all the terms to one side. Minus 8x. I have no like terms with the x. I have like terms with the 1, that's with the 17. I have my a is negative. My a is negative. I don't like the a being negative, so again, I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. There's other ways to do this. So that'll be 2x squared plus 8x minus 18 equals still 0. So now I have my a is 2, my b is 8, and my c is negative 18. You can take out a greatest common factor from this if you'd like. It will make the number smaller for a, b, and c, but you certainly can work it out the way it is. So b is 8, so negative 8 plus minus b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Negative 8 plus or minus 64, 4 times 2 times 18. What is that? 4 times 2 times 18, 144? 144. And we have a minus and negative, so that's a plus 144 divided by 2 times 2 is 4. 64 times 144, if you don't know what that is, let's plug it in. 64 plus 144, 208. All right. So I have x equals negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 208 divided by 4. At this point, I need to take out the square root of 208 and see what is the biggest perfect square that divides out of 208. So let's check it out. Is 208 a perfect square? I don't believe it is. Let's do a quick check. No, it's not. So then we do a 208 divided by, I'm going to go 81. Nope. Perfect square. Next one lower, 64. Nope. 49. Nope. 36. Nope. Not 25. I know that. What about 16? Yes, 16 and 13. Perfect. So I have, this is going to end up being the square root of 16 times 13, which is going to be 4 square root of 13. So I'm going to replace the square root of 208 with 4 square root of 13 over 4. Now, in class I've been drawing this heart. This is what we need to simplify. Reason why we simplify this way, we have negative 8 as a term, we have 4 square root of 13 as a term, and we have the denominator 4. Those are our 3 terms. You concentrate on the whole term or the coefficient in front. Those are the 3 that you have to look at, which is why I draw the heart there. Negative 8, 4, and 4. And by the way, this is a big fraction. So we need this is simplifying a fraction. So negative 8, 4, and 4 are all divisible by 4. So we divide them all by 4. And that's going to get us a smaller fraction. So negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 4 divided by 4 is 1. So rewriting this, we have negative 2, that's a term. 1 times square root of 13. 1 times anything is anything, so square root of 13. And we're going to divide by 1. Well, dividing by 1 doesn't change it, so we're not going to actually have that. So here's your 2 solutions. You want to write them out separately. There's negative 2 plus the square root of 13 and negative 2 minus the square root of 13. Those are your 2 solutions, but you can write them all together. That'd be fine too. Number 9, we have, right now it's in standard form, but I wanted the a positive, so I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1, which ultimately just changes the sign of every term. So it becomes 3x squared minus 8x plus 7 equals 0. My a is 3, my b is negative 8, and my c is 7. So x equals the opposite of negative 8. Plus or minus square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. We get x equals the opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. Negative 8 squared is 64. And we have 4 times 3 times 7 4 times 3 times 7 is 1292? 80, no. I mean, probably should do that on Desmos. 84, I think. So 4 times 3 times 7 is 84, I believe. Let's check it out. 4 times 3 times 7. Oh, probably should take this other stuff out. 84. That's what I thought eventually. So it's 1 subtract 1 negative, so it's going to be 1. So minus 84. And 2 times 3 is 6. 64 minus 84 is a negative 20. Divided by 6. At this point, I need to take the square root of negative 20 and I need to simplify it. So that is going to be the negative 1. Biggest perfect square is 4 times 5. So that square root of 20 is going to get replaced with square root of 4 is 2. Square root of negative 1 is I. And then square root of 5. All divided by 6. Now this is great, but this is not the final answer. We need to simplify. There's my best attempt at a heart. 8, 2, and 6 are all divisible by 2, so we divide them all by 2. And my final answer is 4 plus or minus 1 times I is I, square root of 5 over 3. You have two solutions there. You have 4 plus I square root of 5 divided by 3, and 4 minus I square root of 5 divided by 3. All right, one more problem. I'm not going to work the whole thing through, but as some of you in class kind of looked at 13 and 14 like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? You're just gathering like terms. That's all you're going to do right away. It's not anything too crazy. So negative 14x squared, and so I'm going to combine it with my x squareds. I have a negative 21, or positive 21x. I'm going to subtract 21x. And I have a negative 15. I'm going to add 15 to move it to the other side of the equal sign. The right side all cancel out to 0. The left side I have a negative 21 x squared, that's negative 7x squared minus 14x squared. I have a negative 1x minus 21x is my negative 22x. I have a negative 7 plus 15 is 8. At this point I know what my a is. Well, actually I don't like my a. My a is negative. I prefer to have a positive, so I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. So that's going to end up being positive 21 x squared plus 22x minus 8 equals 0. You're going to get some big numbers here when you do this. I don't plan on working the whole thing out because they're just numbers. And numbers, we have calculators because who knows what 22 squared is or what negative 4 times 21 times negative 8 is. They're giant numbers, but you have calculators, so let's use them. So in this case, I'd use the calculator.